Big news on the tariff front. We can go ahead and put the CNBC article up on the screen. The headline here is Trump expands 50% steel and aluminum tariffs to include 407 additional product types. CNBC further reports the new report categories include everyday items such as car parts, plastics, and specialty chemicals. Economists warn that the new levies could further strain the U.S. supply chain and raise prices for consumers. You can, if we put the next tariff sheet up on the screen, you can see some of the things here that are covered in it. So the Secretary of Commerce, Undersecretary of Commerce for Industry and Security said today's actions expands the reach of the steel and aluminum tariffs and shuts down avenues for circumvention, supporting the continued revitalization of the American steel and aluminum industries. So they say it covers wind turbines, mobile cranes, bulldozers, rail cars, furniture, compressors, pumps, and hundreds of other products. CNBC is reporting this morning, their headline after the markets opened is stocks are little changed as investors weigh retail earnings, await Fed minutes. And Ryan, this is, I don't think this is surprising news, but it's definitely big news. I mean, this is how...
I think it's a little surprising. Like, I think it did catch people a little bit off guard. We can put this next one. It's Jason Miller, a supply chain expert, calculated that the latest, and this is a list of the things, the latest list adds another like $320 billion worth of steel and aluminum products are now affected. And he's talking about a 50% tariff on them. That is a huge amount of money. We're talking I can do the math there. That's $160 billion. That is basically sucked out of the consumer economy there. So that's $160 billion in increased costs that will go to, as Trump loves to say, paying down the debt. Now, if you look at this list here, you know, car parts, shovels, any construction equipment that has any steel or aluminum in it, as you said, tractors, gearboxes,
heat pumps. Like,
basically, if you are in farming or construction or manufacturing, your costs are going to go up as a result of this, quite significantly. And so the goal here is to have an aluminum and steel industry that is completely kind of contained here in the United States. There isn't really a whole lot of policy to go along with this to make it so that we have that industry that can then serve these, can make all of these different products. In the meantime, most people who are doing manufacturing or farming or construction, basically everybody almost who's doing manufacturing, farming, or construction here in the United States is going to have their costs go up, and then they're going to have to eventually raise prices. So the idea here behind the tariffs is that we're going to support American manufacturing. The policy is to make it more expensive to do American manufacturing. Because, let's say you make knives, and there was this, company going around. It's like, oh wait, we thought we made all our knives here in the United States. A lot of our suppliers are overseas. So while we manufacture it here, we produce it here. We have a factory. We have a bunch of people working. The kind of thing we want here in the United States. We do get some of our supplies from overseas, and wow. With these tariffs, it's now going to be much more expensive for us to do our manufacturing. And so the foreign goods then don't have those extra costs in their supply chain. They'll just pay the tariff when they compete, when they are imported and compete against the American-made one. So it's not obvious that it's even going to give an advantage to American manufacturing at this point, because so much of it is overseas. And also, you're building a steel and aluminum industry domestically here. It requires, multi-billion dollars worth of investment, right? Are you going to do that if you're not sure what the tariffs are going to be next Thursday?
Well, yeah, right. That's I think a really
That's the
important
key point.
Well, it's an important point because if you're somebody like me and probably you too, who is supportive of having some measure of protectionism
Yeah,
of American industry, the question of like Trump's direction and Trump's process, like the distinction between direction and process is an important one because the direction can be correct and the process can be so clumsy that the cost outweighs the benefit. And on that note, I actually still think that the jury is out on all of this, and that's a larger conversation, but tractors are covered in this. Guess what was announced yesterday? John Deere announces hundreds of layoffs. This is a Newsweek headline. Legacy tractor maker John Deere has announced layoffs at 3 Midwestern facilities as the company grapples with declining sales and the effects of tariffs on its bottom line. The struggling ag economy continues to impact orders for John Deere equipment, the company said in a media statement regarding the layoffs. This is a challenging time for many farmers, growers, and producers and directly impacts our business in the near term. So those Midwestern
killing our farmers and then killing
the industry
manufacturers.
Yeah, right.
Like what?
So that then becomes a question. As Republicans were heading up for recess, I talked to a bunch of them at like a town hall and asked them, why is Trump underwater on the economy? Why is polling showing him underwater on the economy? And the answer I got is that the effects of the big, beautiful bill haven't hit the economy yet. And that's why we did the bill when we did, they say, so that by the time the midterms roll around, well, first of all, they'll say they did it because the tariffs have already been implemented and it was urgent. But then by the time the midterms roll around, the effects of the economy and the effects of the bill on the economy will be felt by families and communities. And what that means in terms of the tariff discussion is that they want to see this quasi-industrial policy from the one big, beautiful bill, write-offs, exemptions, all of that stuff, fueling growth instead of creating hemorrhaging. And when you look at John Deere closing 3 Midwestern facilities on the same day that these steel and aluminum tariffs are expanded, that's a flashing red light for Republicans who are counting on the one big beautiful bill to augment a wild and crazy tariff policy that feels like a roller coaster for all of these corporations, in addition to the already sort of significant. I mean, everybody would tell you a 10% baseline tariff and then all of these like 50% steel and aluminum tariffs, everybody would tell you, you and I would concede that is a shock to the economy. The argument is that it's a necessary shock to the economy. It is a shock to the economy nonetheless. What this then looks like is in addition to the shock, you have this extra layer of Trumpian uncertainty that is basically at a certain point an unforced error.
Yeah, and I wonder, and maybe I'm too cynical here, but I doubt it. I wonder if in come May of 2026, Trump's going to drop all of these tariffs, which would then lead to price drops, reduction in inflation. Things would be cheaper heading into the midterms. You could imagine a deeply cynical politician who's like, I would love to be able to toggle interest rates so that I can juice the economy in the 6 months leading into the midterms of the presidential election. But I can't do that because I still don't control the Fed. But I do control tariff policy, which I can gradually ramp up to be a really dominant force in the economy. And then when I feel like it, I can dial it back. And then a bunch of stuff gets imported for cheaper, prices come down.
Dollar is shaken.
Everything's, and people are feeling good until November. They vote, and then in December you slap all the tariffs back on for 18 months.
Right.
And then do it again for the next election. I mean,
which again,
that's the only thing that I can see even making any sense at this point.
And I don't think that's crazy, to be honest, because but then again, that's the environment that makes people or different countries, to the extent they can, start hedging their bets with China or start hedging their bets by nearshoring, offshoring in different ways, and just saying, well, this is just not worth it. Just raising prices in different ways. This is the uncertainty. We don't know what happens with the next president, and now the precedent has been established that presidents can, that precedent has existed for a while, but Trump has taken it to another scale, declare a national emergency, and basically circumvent Congress completely on tariff questions, not just, emergency tariffs on China like we'd seen in the past, but let's just go crazy on it. So that precedent has now been established. What happens after Trump? We don't really know.
Yeah, and aluminum and steel are also extremely energy intensive. And Trump just stripped like $1 trillion+ of energy subsidies out of the economy, while China is massively outpacing us on energy production. So, yeah, we want everything, and we want to build nothing and do nothing. And let's see how that goes.
Let's see. Yeah. We'll be here. We'll be paying attention to it. BreakingPoints.com if you want to, hear our cynical takes.
Yeah, while you still have some money, you should use it for a premium subscription.
He's going to tariff podcasts pretty soon.
Certainly, the podcast equipment would be covered with this.
That I support.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yeah, we're already in, so now we need a big moat.
Yeah, we're building the tariff wall around Yep. So great day for us. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, breakingpoints.com, that's where you can go to get a premium subscription. We will be back on Friday. Normal schedule tomorrow, Crystal and Sagar.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see you on Friday. As a reminder, you get the second half of that show if you're a subscriber. But we will be holding it on the fort with Crystal. Maybe Sagar will join on Friday. We'll see. Otherwise, everyone have a great day. Crystal and Sagar will be back here tomorrow.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.